we are now halfway through the preview for the first round of MLS playoffs, and this game is the nightcap for the Saturday action and the last game of the Saturday action in terms of the first round of the playoffs in MLS. And it is a match between RSL versus the Portland Timbers, and a lot of people have been saying that this could potentially be a upset and that this might be one of the match that I think a lot of people think that the road team can actually win this game, and that some people even think the road team are heavy favorites coming into this game. Now, in terms of the stats leader for both of these teams, starting with RSL, their top goal scorer is Albert Rusnak with 10 goals. Top assist leader, there's actually 5 players that is tied with the top assist leader. Or actually, no, there's actually only four players. I kind of misread there a little bit. But Kyle Beckerman, Jefferson Savarino, Albert Rusnak, and Demar Krylak all have 5 assists for RSL. In terms of top shots leader, it's Jefferson Savarino with 79 shots. Most foul committed, there's actually a tie between Everton Luiz and Kyle Beckerman with 41 foul commit this season. And in terms of the save and shutout for RSL actually played 2 goalkeeper in this season. Raimondo, who a lot of people thought that he pretty much started every single game in his farewell tour, that is actually not the case, and that in fact Andrew Putna, who is the goalkeeper or the backup goalkeeper for RSL, actually started 5 matches in the game, and during those 5 matches he's able to get clean sheet 2 out of those 5 matches and able to make 12 saves doing those 5 matches. But Raimondo, of course, started 29 of the 34 games, and he currently have saved 75 shots this season and had 10 shutout this season. You sure that Raimondo is thinking about quitting and thinking about retiring from his playing career? Because he's still putting numbers like he has been always doing throughout the past decade or two when he is in MLS, and that, it's kind of surprising the fact that, he's still putting up this kind of number even though he's, 40 years old right now. For the Timbers, their top goal scored is actually a tie between Jeremy Ebobisse and Brian Fernandez with 11 goals, but obviously the Timbers will not have Brian Fernandez in this game because he was one of those guys, one of the 3 players that have voluntarily decided to go into the league drug and substance abuse program, and that there's no timetable of whether or not if he is going to be returning for this Timbers team or if he's actually going to be returning to this team for the rest of the season. So yeah, as I will mention again later, he's one of the guy that is going to be out for this Timbers team coming into this match. Top assist leader, unsurprisingly, is Diego Valeri with 16 assists, but certainly with how things have gone in the last couple of games, with Valeri not being either on the bench or not starting for this team or not even coming off the bench, you wonder something is going on with Valeri, and that there definitely are something going on with Valeri and the Portland Timbers, and how it seemed like Valeri could be potentially making his one last hurrah with this team this season, and that, if the Timbers does not renew his contract, then Valeri could actually be leaving this team, and that's why it seemed like there's kind of a bit of a holdout that is going on between Valeri and the Portland Timbers. I mean, I also have heard that he has suffered some injury with his leg, but I have a feeling that they're just trying to use that as an excuse and saying that, Valeri isn't really kind of holding out. He's just suffering an injury, and we want to protect him before the playoff begins, which, I understand you want to protect him for the playoff begin, but why would you protect him when your playoff life is literally on the line in the last couple of games of the regular season? And that, thankfully it didn't really matter in the end, even if they don't have Valeri, then that they were somehow able to still sneak it into the playoff because of that decision they win against the Quakes. But still, it was pretty clear that whatever the Timbers are trying to kind of say that he suffered an injury is probably just an excuse and almost like just a cover-up of saying that, yeah, Valeri, the reason why we're not starting him is because of this whole contract situation and the holdout that he is having right now. In terms of the top shots leader, Sebastian Blanco with 106 shots for this team. And in terms of most foul committed, unsurprisingly, is Diego Chara with 69 foul committed for this team. In terms of saves and shutout, the Timbers started the season with Jeff Antonella, who made 40 saves but didn't get a clean sheet. And then, of course, he went down with a season-ending injury, which brought Steve Clark into this team, and that he actually was much better than what Jeff Antonella has throughout the latter part of the season, and that he was also one of the key player of making some big save in some of those games down the stretch, so that the Timbers could have a chance to either not go 1-0 down or still stay in a game and potentially win the game right at the end of the match. So, he had 84 save this season and have 6 shutouts so far by the end of the regular season. In terms of the last 5 games for both of these teams, for RSL, they of course won 1-0 on the road against Vancouver. Then they won 2-1 against Houston at home. They did lose 2-1 to the Galaxy at home, which I think that was like the first loss that they had suffered in a very long time. Like, this RSL team, if there's one thing that some people might say RSL is the favorites coming into this game, is the fact that RSL is pretty much unbeatable at home, and that Rio Tinto Stadium for the last couple of years has been an absolute fortress for RSL. They drew 0-0 on the road against New England, then they lost 3-1 on the road against Minnesota. Now for Portland, they of course got that crucial 3-1 win against the San Jose Earthquakes. That is pretty much the reason why they're here right now. I mean, if they didn't get a win or maybe get a draw, well, actually, if they didn't get a win in that game and lost that match, then they would definitely not be here, and that it would actually be the San Jose Earthquakes that is being here facing RSL in this game. Now they did drew 2-2 prior to that game against SKC, then drew 2-2 again at home to New England, drew 0-0 to Minnesota before losing 2-0 at home against the Red Bulls, and that was part of the stretch where things were really falling apart for the Timbers, and that they literally just barely scraped their way through the playoffs with a crucial win on decision day, and that, again, that is pretty much the reason why they are still here and that their season is still alive. Now, in terms of a head-to-head matchup, this is where I think a lot of people are saying that the Portland Timbers are kind of favorites coming into this game, because when you look at the head-to-head matchup, and especially the last 4 matchup between both of these teams, yeah, Portland has pretty much won all of that, and that they have basically absolutely dominate those last 4 matchup between both of these teams, both home and away. The last match was a 1-0 win for the Timbers, while earlier this season they of course won 2-1 on the road against RSL. Then they won 3-0 against RSL before dropping a 4-1 beatdown of RSL, which was one of the worst losses that RSL suffered at home, besides the 5-1 loss that they suffered to LAFC last season. And then, of course, RSL did win 2-1 against Portland in the 5th meeting in terms of the last 5 meeting between both of these teams. And, besides that, it's been pretty much Portland that has been the team that's dominated this series, and that when you look at how this Timbers team has just dominated this team, I think a lot of people are saying that this is an evidence of why they are going to potentially go to RSL and actually get a victory and pull a little bit of a shock in this playoff fixture. But in terms of injuries for both of these teams, for RSL, Alan Beezer is going to be out for this game, while questionable for RSL is going to be Luke Mulholland, and probable is going to be Martinez. Now, for the Timbers, they have a ton of injury that they have to deal with coming into this game, although a lot of them is questionable. Obviously, they won't have Jeff Antonella, Dema, and most importantly, Brian Fernandez is not going to be available in this game because, as I said earlier in this video, he is voluntarily part of the I can't even say the word. Basically, the drug kind of abuse behavior kind of program that MLS is putting for players that either got caught in the cookie jar, or the fact that the players are just kind of suffering for some drug kind of situation, which it seemed like that is kind of what Brian Fernandez is suffering with his past history of getting caught in the cookie jar and getting caught with taking drugs off the field. So he, of course, will not be available in this game, or maybe even in the next game, or even in the entire postseason, depending on whether or not if he is going to be ready to get back in this team. And remember, it's not the team decision of recalling Fernandez back in the team. It's up to the doctors of that substance abuse program to get the clearance that he is ready to get back onto the pitch. So it'll be very interesting to see when exactly he's going to be, or if he's actually going to be part of this team during this playoff run. In terms of questionable for the Timbers, Cascante, Flores, McIntosh, Konechny, and also, most importantly, Diego Valeri is questionable in this game. Now, I have no doubt Valeri it should be set to play this game, because as much as I know they list him with a leg injury, but as I said before, is it really a leg injury? Is it just an injury that just kind of cover up the whole situation with the unrest of him having that contract situation, and that it's just seemed like there's a bit of a stall in terms of that contract negotiation, and that the Timbers are still unable to renew his contract for another year before it's going to expire by the end of this season. Now, in terms of the home record for RSL this season, as I said before, they have been stellar in terms of playing at home. They currently are 12-1-4 in terms of this season at home. While Portland, believe it or not, they actually have a pretty good road record. Well, actually, I shouldn't say believe it or not. I mean, it's kind of not really a big surprise that Portland has a good road record. I mean, their road record is 6-3-8, which is actually the best road record in the Western Conference if you do not include LAFC in that bracket. And that when you look at how the Timbers, how they always set up throughout this season, it's always going to be fitted to be a tactics you would use on the road. A team that basically stay compact in terms of defending and trying to hit team on transition and trying to completely caught them on the break. That's something that is one of the reasons why the Timbers has been very good on the road, and that might be also another evidence of why maybe the Timbers are going to win this, because, you know, with this style of football, that they are very suitable, and that, you know, the reason why they didn't really had a good home record is that you just cannot play this kind of style at home when you're basically going to face a team that use the same style on you, and you're basically just going to have to force your hands in terms of trying to have most of the possession and trying to break teams down, which is the biggest weakness that this Timbers team had. And I wonder for RSL, even though they're playing at home in this game, and that for most of the home games that they've been playing this season, they tend to love to have a lot of the possession. Do they think about not really, they just have a lot of the possession and just kind of let the Timbers have the ball in this game and see if they, of course, can break them down? Because, you know, this RSL defense is definitely not bad, and that, you know, for this Timbers team, the fact that they still have not proved this season that they can break down a compact team, and that the quality that they have on that team still aren't able to break down a very compact defense, that kind of also makes me a little bit worried of whether or not if they're going to be successful, even though they have a relatively good road record, and you would think the style that they play really fits more as a road team. But we shall see how this game is going to turn out, and whether or not if there is going to be an upset in this game. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game, and make sure you leave your prediction below. What do you think is going to happen in this match? I mean, for me, I would say, you know, I want to say RSL is going to win this because of the home record, and that eventually I think they probably would learn from the mistake for the last couple of games of why they, of course, course, aren't able to beat the Timbers. And I know people are just going to keep pointing out the head-to-head battle, and also the Timbers are one of the best road team this season. But here's the thing. There's been times where I think in the playoffs, analytic doesn't really matter, and what really matters at the end of the day is that you, of course, would show up, and that you are going to be a team that is able to put on a perfect tactics to try and face against your opposition, and that perfect tactics is going to get you the victory in the single elimination game. And knowing the fact that RSL pretty much know what exactly they're going to do against the Timbers, and that they're just going to sit in this low block, and that if the Timbers does not break down this low block, and that RSL, who has some speed on the wing, is able to caught this Timbers team in the defensive end, then yeah, something tells me that is probably the reason why RSL is going to win this game. And that, yeah, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of that, and whether or not you agree. You know, I am going to still make a bracket right after I done all these preview. For those, of course, are asking, you know, with me making all these predictions right at the end of these preview, am I eventually going to fill out like a bracket like what MLS has already put in terms of the playoff bracket? And the answer to that is yes, I will do that right after I finish all these preview, and that's when, of course, I will be doing the bracket. And let's see how many I am actually going to get right, and how many I am actually going to get wrong. And let me just also say, when I filled this bracket out, I'm definitely going to upset some fan base. But here's the good news for those people that are going to be upset because I didn't pick your favorite team in one of those brackets. I'm pretty bad in terms of filling the bracket, and also those predictions that I made whenever I fill out the bracket usually gone bust very, very quickly. So yeah, either way, hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.